This episode is brought to you by ChatGPT. Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast. Have you guys heard about ChatGPT work? It's the new way to use ChatGPT for bigger multi-step projects. And when you need more than just answers, give ChatGPT work access to your apps and files, and it can create real work documents like spreadsheets, slides, and structured reports. Get started at chatgpt.com by selecting work mode, available on Plus and Pro plans.
The best summer memories are made outside, and LL Bean has the clothing and gear you need to make these memories. Their effortless styles are created for summer spent outside with family and friends. Like hand-sewn boat shoes, coastal cotton sweaters, rugged polos, and, of course, the iconic Boatin' Tote, which has been made right here in Maine since 1944. LL Bean. Be an outsider. Visit llbean.com to learn more.
No, that was our big issue for a while. We had to like front money all the time.
Okay.
And it was like you'd end up borrowing money off people it's like you'd have opportunities, but you'd need like a big pot to like be able to actually pursue them. So
you might get offered a gig in a wicked place in Europe or the States or Australia, but you have to pay.
You can't ask for
there.
the fee first.
Yeah.
Because the fee would cover it, but you have to get there. So you have to have some. Yeah, so it's all these catch-22s.
And you've had that like for well over 15 years, something like that. You've been playing in bands since you were like a late teenager, right?
Yeah, since...
So you're an expert in this field.
Yeah, well, I guess the first time I toured, I was like 16. So I guess, yeah, I have. But yeah, it's like your life's... I guess it seems more determined by different points in your life, like how willing you are to like slum it.
Right.
You know, so... My 20s was like, I basically earned like so little that it was like, whereas I guess you get to in your 30s and like the calculation changes a bit, you know?
Mm-hmm. This is like a candid question. Feel free to tell me to fuck off, but have you earned a little bit more recently from music?
Yeah, like now we get like the Tubs, we have the Tubs wage, which is £500 a month each.
That's quality.
Which is good, yeah.
That's rent.
Yeah,
somewhat towards rent.
Yeah.
If you have a cheap room.
Yeah, and we can get that topped up if we sell a lot of merch or do a tour. But you know, I've realized actually, like a lot of bands who are like slightly bigger than us, well, they basically just employ too much staff.
Right.
So they go on tour and they might like pay like a backline tech or like. Which is fine, like, or like a tour manager or, you know, like a guitar tech and all this stuff. And I kind of realized that we can just do all of that stuff ourselves.
Yeah.
Like I tour manage us in the US and here. And it's like, it's a pain in the ass, but it's like, it's not that much. It's just like, it's a lot. But when you're in the van all day, you want to, it's kind of like booking hotels and stuff is kind of fine. It's like,
I imagine it kind of like a lot of that stuff depends on how you were introduced to that scenario.
Exactly. I think a lot of bands like get a deal and then their label or someone or a manager, and that's another thing. Like we don't have a manager, so I think people like that will just say, "Oh, well, this is what you do when you get a deal."
Thing to do.
Yeah. So like you've signed to like whatever label, you've got this advance. You need to spend it on. You know, making sure like you have these 5 kinds of people to bring on tour with you. And it turns out like they end up just, you know, basically wasting a lot of, because the money never really ends up coming back to the musicians, really. Yeah. I mean, it does a bit, but like all these other people are like, this is my rate, which is fair enough.
It's a cost. It's not an investment.
Yeah, and they're like, well, you know, as a guitar tech, I charge this much. But whereas when you're like the bassist in a band who are doing quite well, you can't really be like, I demand this tour ends with me earning like X amount. Yeah. You know, unless you're a session guy.
Yeah.
Or girl. And so I just think like a lot of bands, I've just noticed since we've been getting a bit bigger, that like so many bands could benefit from like having a bit of a DIY.
Right.
Like not even just ethically, but like practically.
Yeah.
You know.
So it puts you in good stead being those teenagers that were like just into whatever this band could be your life kind of vibe.
Yeah. We kind of came up in like DIY scenes, so it's sort of, I guess it was like second nature for us to do all that stuff ourselves. And obviously when you do that, you get some experience. Like, but now those things don't really exist in the same way for like young people. So
no,
I can see why you just outsource all of those jobs to like professionals. You know,
it's funny the way that like attitudes have changed. Like the idea of doing a corporate festival, just as an example, as a DIY band, it's maybe as something as teenagers or early 20s you'd scoff at or like even take the piss out of. But now it's like, well, it's just playing. Playing's just playing. I feel like attitudes have changed quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of, I've heard people talk about this in all kinds of areas, not just music, but the idea is like selling out in the 90s and 2000s was like a real thing that that people were worried about. And obviously, you know, we started in the 2010s, so well, not the Tubs, but our other bands, and that was still in the culture a bit, you know, like selling out, like you know, we'd turn down like adverts and stuff.
Did you?
And we turned down like festivals we thought were lame, and part of it was like it was partly like we were very right on, but it was also like we were much more like about the aesthetics, and we were probably quite scared that people would say we were selling out,
right?
And I think since the internet, like social media kind of took over everything, that taboo has kind of gone because no one knows exactly what selling out is.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Geese found a way, but no, I'm kidding. But,
that
I don't think they knew what that was happening either, to be honest.
And like at the end of the day, that whole like psyop thing where that marketing agency paid for accounts to like flood the algorithm. I mean, that is what marketing is. Yeah,
I get that.
It seems kind of gross to make a fake account. That is a bit sour. But marketing since day one has been like, what's the market and how do we get as many adverts in that place, on that surface area as we can? Yeah,
I just think I've kind of realized with that there is probably some value in like scaling back some of that stuff, even though we all need money. And I think it's been very normalized to do all this kind of like self-marketing and like filming yourself.
Yeah.
I do think there is possibly some aesthetic value to just kind of trying to step out of it a bit, you know?
I think there's, you know, when you post a photo and it's like not the best quality and it's like, that's real.
Yeah.
You know, or it's like a bit out of focus or something. Now, especially with AI, I see videos now that are like well produced and I'm like, is that AI?
Yeah,
it's not.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're trying to do a bit with the Tubs, is just kind of, you do it the way we did it before, you know, when we were younger, and that was out of necessity for a while, but now it's just like, I think there's some more value to it, because I don't know, I think maybe we should bring back a bit of sellout culture, you know, sellout taboo, but it's so difficult now because the lines are all blurred and like no one really knows you can't really enforce it in the same way because advertising has creeped into all of our lives like completely, you know.
Everything's
so it's like even using Instagram would basically be the equivalent of selling out.
Yeah, you're using Meta.
Yeah, so now it's like, what does it even mean? So I can understand that why, like, you know, it's kind of impossible to enforce like those taboos. You know?
Do you know what I think? And I'm quite big into skateboarding, and like it's like classic example. Like Ryan Sheckler was that like Kid Wonder, and he did a Lynx advert in the States, Axe it's called.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh my god, like, you know, Thrash were like never going to write about him again, and all this stuff. But actually, that kid now, who's come from a single parent working class household, blue collar in America, somewhere in the States, you're like, that kid's got £500,000 doing an advert so they can keep skating? Fucking yes. Go on.
Yeah. No, I do get it. But I suppose I just feel like, I don't know, I'm torn because I think, like you say, like, it's so hard to make money from music at the moment, or I'm sure skating as well is the same.
Yeah,
but
it's mad
but at the same time, I just feel like maybe, I don't know, it still grosses me out a bit. And that's because I'm just, I guess that's how my brain formed
Yeah.
when I was like a teenager, because we were obsessed with like K records and kind of like we were very like Steve Albini vibes when we were young, and I think that's still there. But you get older and you're like, I gotta make some money, and so I did. So it's like a subject for me which I can't reconcile.
Yeah, I can see it. Like just anecdotally, for me, it's like growing up, we had a youth centre, and now we'll have somewhere like the Pie House Co-op in Deptford.
Yeah,
and it's like that place is like total K Records vibes. In that kind of line of thinking, every night is a different genre. There's no all male lineups. It's punk as fuck. Everyone there is like a bit of a freak in the best way possible, and you go there and it's like, I'm so glad this exists outside of Instagram, basically. But so those places still exist.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird in a way, like, because like I say, I go back and forth a bit, because we were involved in like this place, DIY Space for London, which was like a similar kind of place, and being steeped in that for a long time, there were certain elements of that scene that I got a bit sick of, because it was very like suspicious of anything even resembling success, or like, or the idea that you would want to be like a musician and as a living, or like that you were really serious about it and you wanted to pursue it, was seen as like somehow kind of selling out. So in a way, like, I got very sick of like the extremes of that culture as well, which felt a bit like there was a lot of like, politics and mediocre kind of bands, like posturing a lot, and and so in a way, I'm like I say, I can't. It's a confusing subject for me, I think.
It's a weird thing to like square off, because it's never going to be a simple sentence. I feel like maybe it's just got to be like intuitive.
Yeah, because we have slightly like arbitrary stuff about it. Like, we don't really like like doing the thing where you're like talking to camera, being like, do this, do that. Whereas I don't begrudge any. It's not like an ethical or like a thing. It's just like, for us, I suppose, it's just like what you get an ick from, I guess, isn't it? And then, but then like, I'm doing this and this is great and I like your stuff, so I don't know, like, I guess it's just to do with being a band, and like it's as much image stuff as it is like ethical stuff.
I think for me it comes down to like the personality behind it. So there's like the form, or like the kind of the shape of it, like the box that it's in. And obviously this is a podcast, but a podcast can hold like a million different types of personalities. This podcast is like, feels weird to say about me, but this is my personality. I have people on that I think are interesting, or the music that I think is cool, and it is going to welcome a different range of people. That's the kind of thing. Accepts that.
And I'm also like I'm completely addicted to like audio content. I've like always got like a podcast being beamed into my ears. So I do really like it as a form, and I think it's like a lot freer than like old style kind of like music industry TV shows and stuff.
And you're a writer.
Yes.
So tell me about that, because I mean that's equally something like playing music, like doing a podcast, like doing most projects. Like you have to do a lot of it before £1 comes in.
Yeah. Or it's even more ridiculous than that, especially with like, because I mostly do like fiction, so I spent like the last maybe like 3 or 4 years writing a novel, which I'm going to sell, I think, as long as it all goes through. But the amount compared to like the amount of money you get compared to how much time you spent is like ludicrous. Because it makes you realize like being a musician is actually pretty easy in comparison. Because like I can just sit down and like bash out a song.
Like you write songs in like half an hour.
Yeah, I think it's partly just like the form I work in. Like, I'm sure if I was like a producer with like making like soundscapes and stuff, I'd be like spending hours. And my girlfriend's a bit like that. She produces electronic music and stuff, and she's like, we'll spend hours on Logic doing stuff.
Yeah, like the perfect.
But for me, I'm
sound.
like properly just like, oh, I've got 4 chords and like, oh, there's another song. And it'll be like when I'm like waiting for my toast to pop out of the toaster or something. So to me, like the music is like so easy,
Right.
which I don't know why,
You've
but
got great lyrics.
oh, thanks. Yeah.
There's that one song like is it like the piece of advice one to like not say hi to the person on the street when you go by them? It's quite like it's got that 80s synth bit in on it.
Oh, yeah. Well, then
Piece of
in
advice,
the
give you
new album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of Hard Life.
Yeah. I guess so. I think that's actually a Prince. Yeah, because that's a Prince song. We covered it.
Was it a cover?
Yeah,
That is
one's
a cover?
yeah. So that's
There we
Prince's lyrics. But to be fair, when I heard it, I was like, this sounds like a Tubbs song. He had a bit of a jangle pop side to him because he did like the Bangles and stuff. He he wrote like Manic Monday.
Yeah.
And he wrote a lot of that kind of jangly and Raspberry
did he write
Beret.
that song? Did he
he
write
wrote
Manic
Monday. Yeah.
No way.
And he was like, he did a lot of
I'm gonna
like
get flack from all these Prince fans now, being like, "You don't know Prince."
yeah. Well, check out Jangle Pop Prince.
You should check out Prince. I mean, that's it, and it is so Tubbs. It is so Tubbs. Did you hear that song? Then you were like, "We're gonna."
Yeah. I kind of like I could imagine it as like a sort of like Flying Nun kind of song.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, and I had these like kind of sort of weird like folky dad gad chords, which is like a guitar tuning.
All the lyrics to one song, for it to be cohesive, maybe has to come out in a short period of time.
Yeah,
maybe you like lose the thread of like the narrative if you spend too much time.
Yeah, there's normally like a little seed of like a funny idea or something. And I'm very influenced by like Stephen Merritt from like Magnetic Fields.
Yeah.
Or Morrissey, I guess. Like they have like you just have like a little quip or a little funny or like rude or like harsh thing to say.
Yeah.
And then that become
you do have a few of those. I'm struggling to think of one right now, but like there is a line I think on the last record of like you talk about sleeping around and you're being like quite quippy to yourself there.
Yeah. Because
what song am I thinking about?
I don't know. It sounds maybe quite like a sexy song though. I don't know. I didn't know I wrote one.
But I remember hearing that and being like, "Oh, you're being like very real there."
Yeah. Well, I think it in a way is linked to like the writing fiction because what I like about that is like you can take certain aspects of yourself or like maybe like your worst thoughts and like exaggerate them and explore them a bit. But for some reason, like with the Tubbs, I keep doing a bloody hatchet job on myself. I keep it's like I'm trying to like lightly cancel myself all the time because I keep just writing these songs where I'm like acting like a complete asshole, but I didn't actually act that badly a lot of the time. So it's like I think of something that I could do or like that would be in character for me to do that's bad, and then I say in the Tubbs song like, "Oh, I did that." And it's like, I don't know why. It's like, it's completely counterintuitive.
You are outing yourself. You're outing your dark thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's weird. Like, well, I think it's a bit of a thing.
Intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, because, I think that's it. Because I have got like OCD. And like, one of the things about that is you get intrusive thoughts a lot, but then you confess them all the time. So you're like constantly like confessing like, oh, I thought about this. Is that bad? You know? And so in a way, I think the Tubbs is often my thing where I'm kind of like, I thought this, guys, like, just by the way, like, it's like I'm a monk or something, you know?
Is it almost like helpful? So like, you don't have to like live in your own head about that, be like, oh my God, I feel so bad I have that thought.
Yeah, there's something...
put it in a song and release it to an
to
infinite
like
amount of people.
Yeah, there's something weirdly sort of cathartic about just like, you know, putting yourself out there being like, look, guys, like, like I'm more of an asshole than I am in real life. I suppose when I started the band and started lyrics like that, I was like, started writing lyrics like that, I was kind of like, there's so much virtuousness around with people, and I kind of
in songs,
yeah, and I think that became like a mode people or even if it would be like subtle, like they'd always be like the good guy in the song or the good girl in the song, and I was like, it's just from a writing perspective, you're just like, it's not that interesting. And sometimes they do the thing where they're like, oh, actually, I'm the bad one, but they'd still somehow sound like the good one, you know, like they'd be like, oh, I did this, and it was like a bit a bit wrong,
Yeah.
but I'm actually a really nice
Yeah,
person.
but I've turned my life around now.
Yeah, whereas like I'm like, actually, to me it's more interesting to be like, what's the worst thought I've had? Let's bring that out on. Let's put that in the pop song, you know.
This episode is brought to you by Chat GPT. Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast. Have you guys heard about Chat GPT work? It's the new way to use Chat GPT for bigger multi-step projects. And when you need more than just answers, give Chat GPT work access to your apps and files, and it can create real work documents like spreadsheets, slides, and structured reports. Get started at chatgpt.com by selecting work mode, available on Plus and Pro plans.
I do work. I do have like a part-time job. It's an invigilator, like art gallery stuff. But there's a lot of like dead time between tours, and so having like a routine which is forced by like having to do that job every day is very.
And it's not
good
songwriting.
No, because songwriting, like to me, there's no routine around that. Like it's always like in the weird like moments, like I've got 5 minutes before I have to leave to go meet my friends. Yeah. So I like pick up a guitar and like I'm like, oh shit, I need to finish writing this before. Or it's always like in these weird in between moments.
Yeah.
And often it just feels like suddenly having to like take a shit or something, and like I have to like get this thing out before I can like move on with my day, you know.
Is that a funny thing to square off, the fact that like the music is the thing that really kind of informs a lot of your life and, you know, revenue?
Yeah, it's weird in a way, because like to me it's like it's very important to me, but it's not as like immersive and all encompassing as like working on a book.
Yeah.
But like the paradox is that like everyone prefers music to writing most of the time. You know, it's like it's like more popular generally, and you know, like it's much more immediate, and like it's like less effort, less taxing on the part of the you know, the person you're beaming it out into.
Yeah.
So
but writing the book, writing the novel feels like you, like that feels.
Yeah, it feels like I'm much more involved, and it's like my life and my imagination, and that it's this huge like journey with like ups and downs and like things that go wrong, and like, you know, revelations about like what you're doing wrong. Whereas the songwriting is like just like, oh wow, this is awesome, like nice riff, nice hook there. And then like everyone's like, woo. Whereas you write I'll do like a book reading and everyone's like, yeah, interesting. Yeah. So it's like it's funny doing both things, because it's like they're so different. Yeah. You know,
can you see yourself doing both, like kind of forever?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I'm always a bit worried with the music, like because I feel like it's kind of hard, like I don't know why I'm thinking about like being like 60 or 70, but it's quite hard to make good music when you're in your 60s and 70s. Like I think a lot of people do, but I can't really imagine making like Tubbs songs in my 60s or 70s.
There's an immediacy about your lyrics and melodies, that, you know, comes from living like perhaps a somewhat occasionally frivolous life.
Yeah,
that maybe you don't do that. Or
yeah, like, I mean, I wouldn't be worried about the lyrics, just more about like if I could still sing and stuff, you know. But
you've got a really interesting voice as well, and because it has that, it's kind of it's the throatsy. Yeah, you've always sang like
that. Well, I did sing in a slightly more like American transatlantic kind of way for a while. And then so with the Tubbs, I was like, oh, I'm going to sing like more in my own accent.
Yeah.
And so it kind of came out sounding like that, which is it's a bit odd in a way when I hear it. I'm like, but it's funny. People in America often like compare it to like Eddie Vedder and stuff, which I find like, but I don't know. Some people call it like sort of like warbling and stuff, but I realized I can kind of change it a bit. Like I can occasionally like change the accent a bit, go a bit higher and
lift your A's.
Yeah. So I guess that's the thing people do. I don't think anyone really has like a proper singing accent.
Your mum sang?
Yeah.
She's a folk songwriter. Is it cool to talk about her? I know that And that cover of the last record is a picture of her, right?
Yeah. So that was a picture that she used for like a 7-inch record cover. And so I'd just been born, and her being like a slightly gothic kind of folk artist, decided to do a press shot of her breastfeeding me in a graveyard. And
Awesome.
yeah, which is awesome. And then and thinking that way, I was like, well, she had like, so while I was making the second album, I was thinking a lot about her death, and she killed herself in like 13. And I had never really been able to like touch that as a like subject, but I started writing about it in a kind of slightly sort of left field way on the second Tubbs album, where I was more writing about like a lot of the songs are like about dating while grieving, you know, and stuff like that. But then I remembered this picture, and I kind of was like, damn, like I've got this picture of like my first, you know, she's a musician, I'm a musician. It's like my first, also my first ever press photo, you know, and
Get him young.
Yeah. And so I was like, I kind of have this line in the book I wrote, which is kind of goes into this stuff where I'm like, if your, you know, folk musician mother had a picture of you, of herself breastfeeding you in a graveyard, wouldn't you use it as an album cover as well?
Yeah.
So yeah, so it was like, I still feel a bit weird about it. I feel like it was like, it's like quite an intense thing to put on your album cover. It's kind of like when what was it, like Mayhem put that picture of the guy who died, or do you know about that? Do you remember this?
No, but there's a band that's just come out now called, I think they're called I Promised You the World. And the EP has got, the singer's dad died during COVID from the complications around COVID or getting COVID. And the album cover, or maybe it's an EP cover, is like his actual heart waveform.
Oh, wow.
Flatlining.
Yeah.
Which is heavy.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where it's like, when you're in your own world making a record or something, you're like, oh yeah, like it makes sense to use this. And I still think it does for either of those, my example or that person's example. But then you kind of you slightly underestimate the fact that it becomes like, it goes out into the world and it's like on websites, and you're seeing like tons and tons of vinyl replications of that. And you're not always in the mood to think about it, you know? But that's the same with like singing songs about it. And stuff,
you're committing it to tape, and it's that song's gonna be there forever.
Like it feels right, and like maybe a bit risky, but like basically like a good thing to do. And then it gets a bit sort of like exhausting after a while when you're kind of like, oh, this is like, I keep seeing this all the time.
Yeah.
So I did feel that a bit, and then it was also quite nice in a way, because we'd like play shows and people were like quite uninhibited, would like come up to me and just start telling them about like their parent who killed themselves, or like some kind of grief they'd been through. And again, I was sort of like, on one hand, I was like, this is like really nice and like, and feels really meaningful. And it was, but I also am like, oh, like this keeps coming. It's like I don't think about it that much in my daily life, and suddenly I'm like being confronted with it all the time, which can be a bit tricky. But then you're kind of asking for it if you like put an album out like that.
I can see like sometimes you actually don't know if that's helpful or the opposite.
Yeah, I think it is good, but it's funny that like people would never normally in real life come up to you and be like, oh, this happened to me. But because they've seen you play, or you've talked about it in a reading or something, they'll be like, they're suddenly like uninhibited about it, which is interesting.
It adds like a bigger picture thing, like putting your personal life and your personal experiences out there for everyone as part of your art. That is quite like a mad existence, isn't it? Like that is quite like a, it's not a normal quote unquote thing to do.
Yeah, and I think it is slightly like encouraged at the moment, maybe in music. Like, I think there's been a lot of like, I feel like more compared to when we were doing like our old band, Joanna Gruesome. Like, there was a lot, like the marketing people and stuff would be less sort of inclined to tell you to like craft a personal narrative around a record or something. We were just like, oh, it sounds like this band, but combined with this band. Like that's the classic. And whereas like now I feel like everyone has to have a little paragraph in their like press release or like about how it's like it's a personal sort of
X Factor story,
confession or something. Yeah, and I think that's because it drives like engagement, right?
I think like one of the things that people like about podcasts or that stuff is that it is like their personality pieces. You get to see inside someone else's brain a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's a more natural way to express that stuff than in like a traditional interview where they kind of say like, now's the section where you talk about your tragedy or whatever, you know.
How's your confidence go?
Well, it's weird for me because like I have, like I was saying, I wear so many hats, so I get very enthusiastic and driven and obsessive about different projects I'm working on. So it could be the Tubs at one point, but it could be like a writing project, or like I've started like a small press. So I'm like, and so I sort of blast myself with all these different jobs and like ambitions and stuff. And it's not so much that I like lose confidence, is that I just get a bit like burned out by my own tendency to like spread myself really thin and just kind of like manically try and like achieve a million different things, which I think like, and some of it's a bit delusional. So I'm kind of like, but I am quite delusional, and I kind of like am very much like driven by like fantasies and delusions about what I might be able to do.
To most people, like playing a gig or going on a tour or releasing one album is delusional.
Yeah, I think
bands are quite a good example of like it's worth being delusional.
Yeah,
you actually make things happen.
Yeah, because it's like you kind of have to be a slightly delusional to think to like start a band, especially now, and to pursue it despite like so many other sensible options. But I don't know. I mean, I get scared about like releasing an album. I don't really like worry too much about my like abilities, but I worry like Pitchfork will just give us a bollocking or something, and then we'll be like, which is fine, but I'm just like, oh, then that could be like annoying and like stop us getting a certain tour or something, you know, like having to deal with like, you know, if a show is not selling well and then they're trying to make you do some more marketing or stuff. That's the kind of stuff that like makes me just, it's not so much a confidence thing, but it's more just like makes me feel bitter and annoyed, you know?
Right. That's the feeling of it not being in your control. It's someone else's subjective.
Yeah. I just feel like it's like bullshit, that like sort of stuff that I have to deal with. Whereas when we were writing a record, it felt much more like free and kind of, you know, but yeah,
it's a killer record. I think Hard Life is peak Tubs.
Yeah, we actually properly tried this time because last time we only did like, we had a habit of just doing like 9 songs because we're like, that's like the least you can get away with.
Sabbath.
Yeah, but we were like, oh, like we're on a bigger label now, so like we should actually like properly try and make an album.
Yeah, and you talk about Merge Records, which is run by Superchunk or Mac from Superchunk.
Yeah,
put out loads of legendary stuff. I mean, Waxahachie,
Magnetic Fields. Yeah, tons of stuff.
That changed the way you saw yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to feel like legit, I guess, but I guess it didn't really change that much. I was just like, oh, it'll be nice to like, yeah, I just love that. I've just loved that label, and I love having some money.
Yeah, some money.
I mean, I don't even love having some money. It's just I need to have some money.
Yeah.
So it was just relieving in a way to like not be like in this constant sort of juggling act of trying to keep the band going and getting momentum, but like not sort of completely like ruining ourselves and stuff.
Yeah, but that is helpful because you need to pay for getting to places, van hire,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
you could spend 10 grand pretty quickly, actually,
Yeah.
as a small business,
Well, especially
moving around the world.
Yeah, for sure. And like, there's 4 of us as well, and it's like, which is like all of that gets cauterized after it's like already, or after all the overheads have already come out.
Yeah,
But like I was saying, I think like,
and you have to pay it back. By selling records.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's a weird situation because I feel like it's the best situation I've ever been in music wise, but you realize like even when you get it, you're still sort of like, compared to like a friend you have who's like earning like 30k or more, you're like, oh, I'm like, it's just tough, and
I mean, now 30 grand is low.
Yeah.
30k was like good.
Well, I'm always like, what do people spend their money on? Because like, I feel like, obviously, like I'm quite lucky because I live in a house that my girlfriend, or flat that my girlfriend owns. So I've got like some privileges there and stuff. But I'm also just like, I don't know what people spend all their money on. Like to me, I'm like, I don't really buy like clothes very much. I don't really buy.
Well, the usual night out, I would say, going out on a leg here, but I reckon like the average amount that somebody spends on a night out in a city has got to be like 60 quid.
Sure, yeah.
And that's on beers and dinner.
But I spend that. Like, that's the thing, just kind of stuff I spend money on.
Yeah.
But I don't buy anything else.
No.
Like, and I just think, and everyone's always like, I'm broke, but they earn like 50k or something. And I'm like, what's it all going? I guess it gets taxed. I just don't know. I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
I've never had like a real job or like I mean, I've had like, I still do like customer service style jobs and stuff, but I've never had like a career. So I don't really know how that all works.
Fucking me neither. The thing is about when you make more money, you spend more money.
Like, I think you're like, oh, I'll get like an Uber here, or I'll get like a takeaway here. Yeah. And I suppose I just feel like I'd rather just really like scrape by and have enough time to do this stuff. But it's easier for me, I think, because my parents were both writers and my mum was a musician. Mm-hmm. And they had the same thing where they were like, oh, like, not, having to scrape by, even though they're kind of posh as well. So it's a complicated thing. But there was long periods of my childhood where we didn't really have like much money, but they were doing stuff that was interesting to them. So it was kind of, they were feeling more sort of satisfied with their lives and I suppose I just took that on and like didn't really question it. Whereas other people I know, like if your parents are like breathing down your neck, being like, "What the hell?" Like maybe quite reasonably being like,
totally.
"What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
Then you might be like, "Well, okay, I should go get this like email job or like this admin job that doesn't really mean anything." But
how do you think you've done it? It is part-time jobs. It's the bit part stuff. You're invigilator.
Yeah, well, I've been an invigilator at the Barbican for like 10 years.
Okay.
So, and that's good because, I mean, it's a weird thing because
is that
like,
seasonal thing? Is that all year round?
Pretty much, like, but the thing, it's like a weird, like, I feel like I'm like one of the few people who like 0 hours contracts actually benefit.
Right.
Because the big problem with being in bands, and this is a problem for like other members of the Tubs, is that you need work, the kind of work which will allow you to just disappear for like 3 or 4 months on a tour and take you back when you're back. So with a 0 hours contract, you're kind of like, they're not obliged to give you work.
Yeah.
But you can just leave and you're not obliged to work for them either. So it's like, it can be difficult when they're like, there's no shifts this week. Yeah. But
you get a lot of 0 hour contracts, and like at least the ones I've done, and I've done probably like, I'd say about 10 in my life.
Yeah.
Like they're all 0 hour contracts, but they expect you to be around.
Yeah, I think I'm probably kind of lucky with this one because they have such a huge pool of staff that they just they don't care if I disappear for a bit.
Hell yeah.
But Yeah, me and Max were thinking about getting into security work because I was talking to a guy at work and he was like, yeah, like you can just pick your shifts and we always need security guards. I don't know how, and they get paid quite well.
Start going to
compared to
Deptford
us,
boxing
anyway.
gym.
Yeah,
On the
yeah.
Muay Thai.
Yeah, I didn't really know, like,
from High-Vis.
because I was thinking, like, how sort of tough do you have to look? I don't know.
But you do see security people who aren't like jacked.
Yeah, I think like just
it's more of a mental game.
Yeah, I'll just be like the
mentally.
security guard at like an art gallery or something.
yeah, you should totally do that. Yeah. I appreciate your time. Thanks, Owen. I'm going to ask you one more question or pose a sort of question, which is I'm a big fan of the work fuck up. And it's fertile ground for when you're like playing in bands and you're touring here and there and you basically make a big boo-boo at work. I don't know. I think you get it's a range of scales from these ones, but like, I mean, I think I used to work upstairs here and I used to drop trays all the time. But there was also another time where I got reprimanded for like trying to do customer like table service. And I got one strike just in the room next door about 10 years ago. And I got called in and like, I did that thing that in primary school, when you're getting told off by a teacher, you kind of like start crying a little bit.
Yeah, you feel the tears kind of like.
I fucking still get that.
I get that as well. If anyone tells me, like, it doesn't happen that, like, I remember like someone at a venue started telling me, I was like, I could feel the tears.
So bizarre. But have you had some memorable days where you're like, oh fuck, I just want this day to end?
Well, I have a good one where like me and my friend Max were working in like a call center, and it was like right next to a Weatherspoons, and so we were like, oh, we've got a lunch break, let's just go to Spoons. Then we spent like maybe like double the time in Spoons getting drunk, went back, and then my friend Max started like Googling different like motorbikes on the like call center like computer, and me and like two of my friends were just like crowded around this computer like looking at different motorbikes, and then like then the manager just was like, you guys are drunk, aren't you? And I was like, no. And he's like, you're looking at motorbikes, you're looking at pictures of motorbikes, like you're obviously fired. Like I know that you've just been to the Spoons. So
you got fired, one fell swoop. Worth it.
Yeah, I mean, and it was a stupid job. So.
Feels like you got quite a good attitude towards that, though, because
we were like 23 or something.
Similar to the crying thing, like when I have work jobs where I know I'm not going to be there forever, I still in that moment feel like I should be taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Despite my reasonable mind knowing that that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it comes from school or something. There's some impulse in you where you're like, the teacher is telling me off.
You're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
The record's wicked, Hard Life.
Oh, thanks. Man.
If there's maybe this is a cheesy question, but like if there's one thing you'd love to do with it, I don't know, it could be playing like in Australia, or it could be, I don't know, playing to a full room at the Moth Club or something like. I mean, you're already doing that, right? But if there's something you'd love to do with this record,
well, Japan would be art.
Yeah,
because we've kind of been most places that we want to go, but Japan's always the one for us.
Yeah,
and I keep being like, I need to spend a week just trying to hustle and like get us a show in Japan.
Make it happen.
Because we've been to Australia, so we should have done it then while we were over in that part of the world. But
I feel like Japan is quite like receptive to like indie.
Yeah, like I think they love like jangly stuff, and so I think it could happen. But maybe someone's watching this.
You got to put out your palm.
Is that a Japanese thing?
No, I don't think that. Okay. I don't think so. Right. Thank you, Owen. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks.
Hell yeah. So that was the lovely Owen from the Tubs here on 101. The Tubs, Peak Tubs' new record, Hard Life, is coming out on September the 11th on Merge. You can pre-order that now. It's top. It's a top record. And if you sign up to our newsletter at 101ptj.fyi, that's right, you can win a signed LP and 2 tickets to their upcoming tours, whether you're in the UK or Europe or USA. You can get 2 free tickets and a signed LP of Hard Life just by signing up to our newsletter, 101ptj.fyi. We're going to send you some weekly recommendations there. Nice one. If this is your first time on the show, we've had some great episodes recently, I reckon, with Stuart Lee, the Merry Wallopers, And coming up, we got always loads more that I'm not going to say now in case they fall through, but they're coming. Cheers.
This episode is brought to you by ChatGPT. Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast. Have you guys heard about ChatGPT work? It's the new way to use ChatGPT for bigger multi-step projects. And when you need more than just answers, give ChatGPT work access to your apps and files, and it can create real work documents like spreadsheets, slides, and structured reports. Get started at chatgpt.com by selecting work mode, available on Plus and Pro plans.
Hello.
Look what TJ Maxx dragged in.
The Devil Wears Prada 2 is now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
We are digital, we are downloadable, we are streamable.
The fashion event of the year is certified fresh.
Pull yourself together. We have work to do.
Critics say it's smart and witty and the perfect sequel.
That's all.
Get runway ready for The Devil Wears Prada 2 on Disney Plus and Hulu. Rated PG-13.